Welcome back to my OCR Creative iMedia R081 series, and today we're going to be looking at camera movement. So if you watched my previous video, you'll have seen it was about camera angles and camera shots. So now we're going to look at how we can move the camera to reinforce and create those feelings of movement and to tell your stories a little bit better when you're using cameras and using filming equipment. So just like last time, I'm going to cover some of the units that camera movement gets used in. So it's going to be used in storyboards. If you get an exam question that's based on creating like a music video or a film or an animation, something like that. Obviously, if you are doing the unit to create a digital animation, then you'll have to be using some form of camera movement to tell your story. And the same if you're creating a digital video sequence. Obviously, for creating digital images, it doesn't really make sense if you're taking a still image. You can't easily show movement or show movement in the way that I'll be covering in this video. So what is camera movement? So camera movement is the process of moving the camera during a media production for some form of effect. So it's used to alter the relationship between the camera frame and the viewer. So it adds almost like an extra dimension to our footage, so we can make the footage a lot more interesting and a lot more active. Instead of just being the camera stood still, your actors are doing whatever, you can sort of almost make the viewer feel a little bit more involved, and it just adds, as I've said, that extra dimension that improves the interest of your shot and your engagement for the shot. So zoom in. So zooming is the most common type of camera movement. So this is just where the camera moves from one type of camera shot to another. So it might be you go from like a mid shot or a wide shot and zoom in to a close-up, or you could zoom out and do the opposite. As you can see in my animation below, I'm going from sort of like a mid shot, zooming in to a close-up. Next we've got panning, so that's where we move our camera horizontally, either left to right or right to left, while its base is fixated on a certain point. So you're not actually moving the position of the camera, just the direction it faces. So you see my camera was facing to the right, and it pans across to the left and sort of reveals this lady. So when I'd use it, I'm not exactly a film designer or anything. I don't really do a lot of filming, but when I go on holiday I like to take videos of things, and I've got myself a little drone. When I use my drone, I try and sort of do establishing shots of like scenery, and I try to use panning to sort of reveal certain scenes, which links into my next one. So the video below, I've got a little video of me using tilting on my drone when I was on holiday once. Now it's very similar to panning, but instead of going from left to right, sort of turning the camera, what we do is we just sort of move the camera vertically up or down. So because I've used a drone, these drone cameras are on what's called a gimbal, and that's like a motorized device that keeps the camera in place, and I just press a button and that lifts it up from facing the floor to facing the coastline, as you can see. So again, it's good for revealing. So in this clip, I was going from looking at the sea, I'd sort of flown about a bit, and there's a slow reveal of some nice little boats that I'd seen. Now, a dolly shot is where the camera is fixed to some form of moving vehicle. So it could be a car or a trolley or like almost a little train on a track. It's sometimes also called a tracking shot or a trucking shot. Usually a dolly is going forwards and backwards, and trucking is left to right, like on my animation. Now what a lot of people are sort of using now are drones, as a lot of drones have sort of like tracking shots built in, so you can do a dolly and you can do a truck shot without having to pay for a big expensive car. So you can see that my camera is actually following that car as it drives across the road. Another kind of shot we can do is a pedestal shot. Now this isn't like a tilt where we sort of look down and then sort of peer upwards on like an angle. This one is where the camera is fixed to either a pedestal or it's fixated to some kind of movable tripod, and it vertically moves up or down whilst in one location. A little bit like if you put a camera in a lift or an elevator, you just scroll up and go past the thing you're filming. So again, to save money on getting a big adjustable tripod and lots of things like that, a lot of people are sort of using drones and other sort of aerial vehicles to do quite dramatic and quite large pedestal style shots. Now this last one I don't have an animation for, I'm afraid, and that is the crane shot, and that is where you can see we've got a big crane here. We've just got a jib on the end which we attach to the camera, and then what we can do is we can swing this crane round to sort of make it look like it's moving through the air and doing sort of like an action shot or like a flyover, that kind of thing. Again, as the technology is getting better, drones are getting used to sort of like flybys as well, especially with FPV style drones as well. So a bit of further viewing. After I've done talking, I like to pause the video and go into a new YouTube tab. Now if you search for Dark Knight intro, take a little look at the little scene at the beginning. Obviously, provided you're old enough. I think it's an age 15, I think the Dark Knight is. And just watch the beginning of the Dark Knight. You can see they've got lots of different camera movements, lots of different camera angles, and you can see, especially at the beginning when they use the IMAX camera, you can see lots of different examples of shots and movements. Now, get yourself a notepad and pen, and just write down all different types of camera movement that we've covered that you think you can see. Then when you're done, resume the video, and I'm going to reveal some of the ones I think I've seen. So at the start of the scene, there's like a panning sort of like shot. It sort of pans the camera as it moves around. Then there's a crane shot that sort of goes over the building. We zoom into the clown's masks. The camera tilts over the edge at one point. The camera pans inside the bank, and then there's a tracking shot that follows the robbers. That could be maybe even done using a dolly to follow those different robbers through the bank. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.